Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Town of Milton Board to order. Start with the pledge of the flag by Councilman Isaacs.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brandon. Brandon, can you call the roll, please?
Councilman Blaisdell. Present. Councilwoman Hurd.
Present.
Councilman Crowell.
Present.
Councilman Isaacson.
Present.
Supervisor Zalotnik.
Present. Need a motion to accept the minutes of April 28th and May 12th.
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Ryan. Any discussion? Brenda, can you pull the board, please?
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hurd.
Yes.
Councilman Crowell.
Yes.
Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Supervisor Zalotnik.
Yes. Before we begin public comment tonight, I'd like to say a few words here. We have rules for public speaking, and I'm going to read a couple of them out for everyone so they understand what is and what is not allowed. A member of the public who wishes to speak during public session will raise his or her hand and wait to be recognized. Upon recognition of being called, this member of the public shall proceed to the microphone and give their name, address before proceeding. Anyone engaging in continually disruptive behavior will not be allowed to address the board or may have their time cut short. This includes, but is not limited to, the use of derogatory comments, as well as any disrespectful, rude, repetitive, or insulting behavior, accusations, or statements. Any comments regarding town's personnel or contract issues will not be allowed, and the public comment period is for the town board to listen to citizens and not necessarily answer impromptu questions. With that, I will open up public comment. Does anybody have anything?
Can I say one thing, Mr. Supervisor?
Certainly, John.
I got to tell you, I'm really disappointed to be a town councilman tonight. The reason I am disappointed to be a town councilman tonight is when I joined this board, I didn't expect to have sheriff's deputies at our meetings. And I truly think that common sense should prevail here, and we should get on with the town's business and let these gentlemen go about their business of protecting our citizens. Unless anybody on this board is in fear for their life, I see no reason to have those sheriff's deputies at this meeting. If we can't discuss things as citizens of this town, then it's time to close the doors and go out of business. And I feel that way, truthfully.
I couldn't agree with you more, John. But when I tell people their 3 minutes is up and they stand there and say this, that, and the other thing, and they refuse to cede the floor, I ask for some support. If we can get along, fine. If people can follow the rules, no problem. Does anyone wish to speak for public comment? Yes, sir. Microphone, please.
It's my first time, so hopefully I'm doing this in the right order. My name is Derek Rader. I don't know if you can hear me. I live at 21 Liberty Drive, Milton, New York. Been here for about 8 years. I'm hoping that the supervisor presented some information to all the board members, but I'd like to talk about the critical need for a town-wide reassessment. New York State recommends the towns perform town-wide reassessments every 4 to 6 years. The town of Milton has not done a reassessment since 2006. The reason for a town-wide reassessment, you might ask, it's simple: to be fair to everybody, right? According to New York State law and other assessors that I have spoken to, if this is not done, shifts within neighborhoods can cause inequalities, making some people overpay and other people underpay their fair share. This town's current methodology of only selectively reassessing new residents and those that make small improvements to their home is in violation of real property law. The policy of selective reassessment has been found by U.S. Supreme Court and New York courts to be a violation of Equal Protection Clause under the U.S. and New York State Constitution. Real property law Real Property Law 305 states, an assessor may not selectively reassess a property, such as only reassessing properties that have been recently conveyed or improved. I'd like to read that one more time, and it's very clear if you go to the New York State website. An assessor may not selectively reassess properties, such as reassessing only those properties that have been conveyed or improved. 2014, I was selected to be reassessed because my purchase price far exceeded my assessment value. I knew that was not right, tried working through the system, ended up going to court, I won. Currently, last year, I received a letter from the town assessor notifying that my house was being reassessed another $46,000. During a phone conversation, I was told that...
1 minute, sir.
Sorry?
1 minute.
I was told that because of a building permit, my house was being reassessed. The fact that my house was only being reassessed because of a small outdoor pavilion is in fact selective reassessment. In fact, my pavilion only cost $25,000, but I was reassessed $45,000. I wonder how many other new residents and residents that have had small improvements are paying more than their fair share. I don't think this sends a good message to potential new people of the town. There's a simple way to fix this. The town needs to do a town-wide reassessment. In my house, in my neighborhood, I looked at 10 houses. 5 houses are significantly larger than me, square footage, acreage, and they're assessed anywhere from $60,000 to $70,000 less than my house. Again, I really hope that the board members look into this. It's the only fair way to do it according to New York State, according to other towns across the state.
Thank you, sir.
That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hello, is this working?
Yes, sir.
Magical, magical. Hi, I'm Michael Ramus, 272 Meadowlark Drive. Thank you all for allowing me to speak. Thank you also from the last meeting for voting to have the public event on June 1st concerning salvage and recycling yards and whatnot. Almost immediately after that meeting, I emailed every member of the town board asking where that meeting would be held and asking about capacity for that meeting. And then even offering some suggestions about ways to streamline it. I received no official response whatsoever. I even followed up, again asking, and received no official response about that. So I'm asking tonight for you to please announce the location of that June 1st meeting. That's next week. That's less than a week away. I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job. I feel like if you wait to the last minute to announce the location, you're undercutting people's ability to plan to be there, especially after a holiday weekend. And I know the excuse was that the last time this public meeting was held, said, well, attendance was tepid. Come on, I got people ready to go door to door and get the word out. We're just waiting for you guys to just set the place. Also, what is the capacity situation for that? You decide. I just need to know how many people can get there. And then the format, what our residents can expect from the event, kind of ground rules, if you will. I don't think I'm asking for anything out of the ordinary. Just tonight, please make that announcement so we can get our act together and attend and participate in government. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want to say something. Michael, I believe I spoke to you.
Unofficially.
Well, we discussed it right after the meeting, and we thought, and that's why I wanted to contact you, we were talking about hopefully getting 65 people in here, 65 to 75. And I talked to Supervisor Zlotnick this afternoon about it. I talked to the building inspector about it. So hopefully we're going to have that worked out and get that many in here. I'm waiting for some paperwork also. This is the tentative plan, right, to have it here. We don't really have any other place to go.
I appreciate you responding, and I hope thank you for that information, but it needs to be more than tentative now. I'm not just speaking to Councilwoman Kerr, right? We're getting down to the wire. Please have a decision like tonight so we can get moving on this. Because if the people don't show up that need to be there, then you'll say, well, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of interest in this, and it's kind of your fault. I've been asking for this now. I appreciate Councilwoman Kerr, but
I can make a motion later to have it here.
Just to let you know, the public notice went in the paper and it's stated 7 o'clock here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just so you know,
Oh, thank you. Which paper?
Gazette and Saratoga.
Okay, I'll find it right now. Thank you.
It's official.
Okay, thank you.
I'm still waiting to hear back from the county on what attendance could be. As soon as I get that number from the county, I will let you know, Michael, and I'll put it on our, I'll put it on our Facebook page and it'll go on our website. But right now, we're hoping to get it up to about 35 to 40 people. The building obviously is much bigger than that, but the space that we're taking up also hurts us for footage that we're able to use. If we weren't in this office and under normal circumstances, we could put 150 chairs up here and fill the room up. But we can't do that. With the space that we're taking up for the offices, that subtraction, the square footage of the building, and that again works into the figure. The meeting is also going to be on Zoom. I put it on, I put it out there so people who can't come or still don't feel safe coming, they'll be able to, and we will listen to everyone's comments.
Thank you, thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Pagoda.
Thank you, John, always for your comments. Good evening, my name is Tom Bogosian. I reside at Midline Road. As business owners who are directly impacted by the rates charged by Heritage Springs Sewer Works, Inc., we have been appearing before this board throughout the current ongoing rate proceeding, requesting this board set a public hearing as agreed for the purpose of determining, among other things, the reasonableness of the connection rate charged by Heritage. We have requested this board to compel Heritage principals and their accounting experts to attend and provide sworn testimony regarding Heritage's investment, if any, in sewer infrastructure made by Heritage upon which the connection rate is to be based. We have provided hundreds, if not thousands, of pages of relevant financial information showing no infrastructure investment by Heritage. The records submitted included, but not limited to, Heritage tax returns, which are sworn statements, the sworn statement about Scucci's certified public accountant, the audit report of Heritage performed by Thiel, Becker, and Shermonti, accounting firm, Heritage developer contracts requiring infrastructure to be turned over at no cost, real property transfer records, emails from principals of Heritage attesting to no investment, the transcript of the July 2020 public hearing, during which the attorney for Heritage admitted that the principals of Heritage paid for and expensed the sewer infrastructure as part of private real estate deals. However, rather than fulfill your duty and responsibility of ensuring that Heritage is properly operating for the benefit of the public and rate users, you willfully and negligently disregard your fiduciary responsibilities required by law. Thus, once again, Heritage resorts to litigation in violation of our civil rights rather than providing sworn testimony and expert witness from accountants to verify their claims of investing millions of dollars in sewer infrastructure for which they claim a right to recoup through connection charges and for which it is your responsibility to verify publicly. We have invested hundreds and hundreds of hours and significant financial resources to create a fair, open, and accountable process to access sewer service, trusting the town to perform its duties under the law, only to be subjected to lies, personal attacks, and violation of our civil rights, for which we hold you responsible. This issue will be resolved. We will see it through to conclusion. However, it appears to be a waste of our time to continue to come before this board regarding this matter, as you have shown a total willful disregard for the enforcement of Transportation Corporation's law and your duty and responsibility to public and rate users.
You should be more interested in the public.
Anyone else? Bruce?
Bruce Bogosian, empty street, and thankfully it's Galway and not Milton. You should be more concerned about listening to the public, that's your job. You should be more concerned about that than timing 3 minutes. And I also agree with Mr. Froelich, it is a sad day for the town of Milton when you invite law enforcement to come in as intimidation when we come here to exercise our First Amendment rights. That's pretty low, very low. And I'm sure these guys have other things to do as opposed to stand here and listen to people speak. We should have, this is America, we do have First Amendment rights and the ability to speak freely. I hope you clearly understood and comprehend what Tom just told this board, because I agree 100%, and it will have an impact on each and every one of you here. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Mr. Dawson? Go ahead, sir. Just 1 second. Yep, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Tony Dawson, 274 Greenfield Avenue, Boston Spa, New York. I too, following the May 12th board meeting, sent a letter in on May 13th, following up and requesting a summary of complaints and proposed changes to Chapter 103. I received no response. Prior to that, I submitted a FOIL request on March 31st, and on April 26th of 2021, I received a response to my FOIL request, which Supervisors Lotnick, Councilman Kerr, and Councilman Isaacson withheld any information relying upon attorney-client privilege, which I appealed and renewed my request. I received no response. So June 1st is in approximately 4 business days from now. If there is going to be no communication, and if there is not going to be any transparency, what is the purpose or the objective of this meeting? I find it offensive that I received no response from anyone, and Michael Landis at least received an unofficial response from Councilwoman Kerr. That's a double standard, and it's simply unacceptable. So if the true intent of this meeting is to be productive instead of grandstanding by Mr. Landis and his group, or Councilwoman Kerr and her group, we need to get some substance here so that we know what the issues are and what the proposed changes are. Otherwise, we are just wasting our time. Thank you. And I would appreciate a response from somebody, because there have been multiple responses with 0 offered in response to.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Seeing none, I will close opening public comment. We'll move on to Resolution 30. Resolution to enter into a web service sales agreement to redesign and service the town website. Whereas the town of Milton's website currently is outdated and in need of update, redesign, and servicing, now therefore be it resolved, the town board does hereby authorize, agree, consent to, and ratify allowing the supervisor entering into a 5-year sales agreement with Revised LLC to redesign, update, and maintain the town of Milton's website in accordance with the agreement attached here too, at a cost of $11,400, plus added costs of several options and custom design work as discussed and approved by the board. And further hereby authorizes the town supervisor to sign and enter into said sales agreement, execute all needed necessary documents, and pay all amounts required thereunder in furtherance of such. Therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Milton. I need someone to move on that resolution.
Quick question, Brian.
Yes.
This was for the custom site?
Yes.
Okay. And I will move on that resolution.
Second.
Any discussion?
And we're within our procurement policy even with the add-ons?
I believe we will be, yes.
So we don't have to go out with 3 quotes?
We looked at several,
We had the 3
I think we
on.
had 5 or 6.
yeah, we
Okay.
had more than 3
So we
anyway, yes.
evaluated those? Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
Brenda, can you pull the board, please?
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilman Osowski.
Yes.
Supervisor Zalati.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Next up, Resolution 31. Resolution authorizing the following budgetary amendments as per the controller. Whereas the town board of the town of Milton must make budgetary amendments, and said amendments must be based upon resolutions of the town board. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board does authorize the fiscal officer of the town of Milton to make the following budgetary amendments. From AA-23-20-000-000 Economic Assistance, Other Governments, 2,500, to AA-6510-400-000, Veteran Service Contractual, 2,500. From BB-1990-400-000 Contingency, Contractual, $2,000, to BB-8010-400-000 Zoning Contractual, $2,000. The first one is the $2,500 grant that we will be getting from the county to pay for veterans' ceremonies, needs, whatever they wanted to do with the money, that as long as it was for the veterans. We have to pay the bill first, then we will submit it to the county and we will get reimbursed. We have the forms and we'll be submitting that in the near future. The second is work that was done on the Article 78 from Sticks and Stones for the zoning board.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Frank. Any discussion?
Has that issue been solved? Or settled?
Yes.
Yes. Are we allowed to? John, the zoning board was found, or the Article 78 went in the town's favor.
We aren't able to recoup any of that money from the people that filed it?
I don't believe that was part of the settlement, no. I will speak to Bill Kennery.
No, we can't.
Can't?
It wasn't a settlement, it was the court order.
Any further discussion? Brendan, can you pull the board, please? Give it a second.
Scary.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilman Osowski.
Yes.
Supervisor Zalati.
Yes, thank you. Resolution 32 to appoint a part-time dog control officer. Whereas the town of Milton is in need of a dog control officer, and as the position has been vacant for quite some time, now therefore be it resolved, the town board does hereby hire and appoint Greta Brown Vergara of 398 Boston Road, Scotia, to the position of a part-time dog control officer for the town of Milton, effective and commencing May 27th at a rate of $15.53 an hour, with the hours to be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and from 4 to 8 p.m. on Thursdays, a total of 20 hours per week, or as otherwise mutually determined by the supervisor, with benefits as provided for by the town personnel policy, if any, instead hired to be conditioned on a 6-month probationary period wherein her performance is acceptable to the town board in pursuant to town policy. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Milton.
Can I say something?
Sure.
She's been making phone calls for us all week. She's made over 100 phone calls, and about a third of them have come in, and we have some issues resolved. We have some very old issues that she's resolved this week. So it's been great having somebody taking care of the older stuff. Just so everybody knows.
Frank, you can-
We need someone to move on the resolution.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I wanted to ask Frank a question. Well, I have to wait for a second.
Yes, need a second.
Good second.
I'll second it.
Frank,
Yes.
does she need the rabies shots and so on?
She should have it. Yes.
And what other?
Into the microphone, where I think people can hear.
Now,
Does she need a rabies shot and what other
She should have protection.
things should
Yes.
go on? Okay.
Yes.
I remember that with Kelly, when she was here, she had to go for the shots.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion?
I don't have a second.
I second it.
Oh, sorry.
Hold the board, please.
Okay. Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes,
Councilman Frolich.
Yes.
Councilman Isakson.
Yes.
Supervisor Salat.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Next up, Resolution 33, resolution to appoint a part-time clerk in the Town Assessor's Office. Whereas the Town of Milton's Assessor's Office is overburdened with assessment review and property valuations and is in need of a part-time employee for the position of clerk in the Town Assessor's Office. Therefore, be it resolved, the Town Board hereby appoints and hires Jeanette McMullen of 12B Majesty's Way, Mechanicsville, New York, to the position of part-time clerk for the Town Assessor's Office, effective June 1st, at an hourly rate of $15 per hour for 20 hours per week, with her specific hourly schedule to be determined by the Town Assessor, and with benefits limited only to those as provided by the Town Personnel Policy, if any. And with said hire to be conditioned on a 6-month probationary period, wherein her performance is and remains acceptable to the Town Board and pursuant to Town Policy. Now therefore be it resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Milton. Someone move on that, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Frank. Any discussion?
I have a question. I was going through my paperwork today, Benny. I didn't see an application or a resume for her.
I thought I sent everyone the resumes. I thought I did. I can give it to you tomorrow morning, John. She was one of the people that we interviewed, so I'm quite sure I sent all the resumes for the people that we were interviewing.
I received it. Okay, I must have.
It's like there were 3 or 4 that we got all together.
Can you pull the board, please, Brendan?
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes,
Councilman Frolich.
Yes.
Councilman Isakson.
Yes.
Supervisor Salat.
Yes, thank you. Next up, a motion to allow William Wade to buy out 1 week of vacation.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
second.
Thank you, Barbara. Any discussion?
What exactly does he get? Does he get money, physical money back?
Yes.
Yes,
That he earned? Yes.
1 week of vacation, yes.
Right. Okay.
Pull the board, please, Brendan.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes,
Councilman Frolich.
Yes.
Councilman Isakson.
Yes.
Supervisor Salat.
Yes. Next up, a motion to allow Jacob Kupferman carry over 40 hours of vacation. Dear Town Supervisor and Town Board members, I am requesting that 40 hours of my vacation time be carried over into the next year. Thank you in advance for your cooperation. Sincerely, Jacob Kupferman.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I mean, I'm going to vote in favor of this, obviously, but I talked to Jason about it and Dave a couple
Barb, into the microphone so people
I
can
kind of wish these people would take their vacations. I think everybody needs that and deserves that. And you only have 2 weeks a year. You need that time off, you know? But, like I said, I'm going to vote in favor of it.
Brenda, can you hold the board, please?
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Crowell.
Yes.
Councilman Saxon.
Yes.
Supervisor Salatic.
Yes. Thank you. Next up is a motion to appoint Sally Voltinsky, 1151 Good Road, to the Open Space Committee with the recommendation coming from Councilman Blaisdell.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is this filling a vacancy, and do we know how long the term is for? We're not sure.
It's a committee,
It's been running.
just a,
It's a group that's been put together probably 5 years. You know, that work well, very, very well. We have 7 people, which also makes well when we're voting.
That's always
She's
good
a
on a
good, she's a
committee.
good person. She's done a lot of good work for the county and the town, and she'll do well for us.
I think it's always a good idea on a committee like that to get as much input as possible, so. She's willing to volunteer time.
Yes, very good, so.
Any further discussion? Brenda, can you hold the board, please?
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Crowell.
Yes.
Councilman Saxon.
Yes.
Supervisor Salatic.
Yes. Thank you. Next up is a motion to allow the Saratoga County IDA to use the Town of Milton meeting room for a public hearing on June 8th at 8:30 a.m.
Can I?
Please do.
Okay, so Mike Valentine called. They're doing a public hearing for the new Napa that's going in on Rollins Street. They have to do it within the town, they prefer to do it within the town where the location is. So he called to see if we could do it here. They may be doing it by Zoom instead, and they may be doing it at the solar building. We don't know for sure, but I wanted the board to be aware and to allow it if it does happen.
I'll need the motion.
Thank you, Frank.
Second it.
Thank you, John. Any discussion? Brenda, hold the board, please.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Crowell.
Yes.
Councilman Saxon.
Yes.
Supervisor Salatic.
Yes. Thank you. Next up, a discussion about from the building department on maintaining zombie properties. We have about a half a dozen properties in the town, according to the bill, that are in need of some maintenance. We had a individual over the past few months pass away in his home, and he has no local relatives, and that property has become completely overgrown. I've spoken to the neighbors a couple of times about it, and we can't go on the property by ourselves. That's just not allowed under our town code. So I think something we need to consider in the next couple of months is coming up with some kind of zombie property ordinance where we can hire an outside firm to go in and clean up and add the bill to the person's property tax bill, if that's what we think is the best way to go at it. Bill said there's probably about a handful, maybe 6 or 7 properties that he could run off the top of his head. He could give us a list if we want, and we could individually go out and see the state of the property ourselves. But I think it's something that we need to look into. Jim, you want to give us something?
Mr. Supervisor, just to, this issue has come up several times in the past, and we never seem to take it any further than discussing it. If you want to have a motion instructing you to draft a local law dealing with abandoned properties, I can do that. That would at least start your process. If you don't want to pass a law, you don't have to, but at least you have something to look at as far as what we can do in the process in order for us to achieve that. there are a lot of constitutional issues with it, trespass being one of them. And the other side of that is when you go and mow someone's lawn, that's actually a legal gift under the New York State Constitution. So you have to follow some very strict parameters before you do that. And you also have to follow some very strict parameters when you try to place the cost onto their, as part of the tax levy. So if you're interested in actually starting the process, I suggest we consider drafting a local law for consideration.
Thank you. I have a copy of the letter. It was addressed to everyone. Did everybody get a copy of the letter? Okay. It was addressed to all of us. I'm going to read it into the record, if you don't mind, Brenda, just for the folks at home. To Supervisors Lotnick and town board members, as code enforcement officer, I am requesting that the town address property maintenance issues that arise when homes are either in foreclosure, homeowners deceased with no family in the area, or other possible reasons why a home may be abandoned. Addressing property maintenance and zombie properties and/or foreclosures will allow the town to be in line with the property maintenance code. In the event the town must secure a property or perform property maintenance, we will have the ability to place a tax lien on the property to recoup any losses for securing that property. Respectfully submitted, Bill Lewis, Building Inspector. Next up will be our monthly reports from the building department. I have a copy if you need it.
I've got it here. Here's Supervisors Lotnick and town board members. In the month of April, the building department processed 34 building permits and collected $8,216.90 in building permit fees. We completed 186 construction inspections, 1 fire safety inspection, and responded to 15 code enforcement complaints. A total of 27 permits were closed with 9 certificates of occupancy, 14 certificates of compliance, and 1 temporary CO being issued. We also collected $250 in zoning and $1,000 in planning fees. Respectfully submitted, Bill Lewis.
Thank you. Buildings and grounds.
Buildings and grounds report. During the month of May, we completed the following tasks. Fixed a broken security gate at the Suzanne Lyle Park, removed all down trees from nature trails, mowing of town property and parks, repainting of Suzanne Lyle bathroom, painting of the town hall court, replacing all lighting and ceiling tiles in the town hall court, removal of down street light, I believe we found out last week was an accident, cleanup of the Boyd Haven Cemetery, down trees, relocation of all court materials from the museum to the courthouse, secured faulty playground equipment in the Burgers, Kimball, and Suzanne Lyle parks, and cleaning and disinfecting of community center and museum.
Thank you, Ryan. Highway Department.
May monthly report. The Highway Department has officially ended their spring cleanup to begin summer roadway reconstruction. Town residents can bring their lawn debris to the transfer station located at 503 Geyser Road. Transfer station hours are Monday through Thursday, 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. We finished paving Rock City Road and Sherman Road. Going into June, we plan to begin roadway reconstruction on Baker Road and Birchton Road. Respectfully submitted to Town of Milton Highway Department.
Karen, do you want to read your report?
I have some show and tell tonight.
Excellent.
I want everybody to be able to hear me, so can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah. All right. You hear me good?
I think so.
It's on.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. All right. I continue to work from home, answering research requests and documenting the COVID-19 pandemic. I collect newspaper and magazine articles, which I add to daily, and I also add to an electronic diary every day too, which is like a timeline of
event. As of last Sunday, on the 23rd, Milton has 11 active cases of COVID, which is 10 less than last month, which is good. Total number of confirmed cases in Milton is now at 1,037, which is a 40 case increase from last month. The village has a total of 297 cases, which is an increase of 17. The village has 6 active cases right now compared to 5 of last month. And the good news is that there has not been any additional deaths in either the town or in the village. The Historic Structures and Places Committee met on May 13th here at the Community Center. Discussion focused on the West Milton Cemetery, the Circle C Cemetery, Oakwood Cemetery, and Boyhaven Cemetery. And we've had lots of cemetery issues. Anyway, we would also like to thank John Munger for his work in Boyhaven Cemetery recently due to some very large fallen trees. He removed the large fallen trees and will be having an associate repair 7 stones that were broken from those trees. We were very appreciative for them for helping the town to remove the trees and to get the stones repaired. I also want to add for Anthony Anderson too and the building and grounds people for helping out with that project to clean that up because it was pretty bad. In regard to the Circle C Cemetery, they were awaiting the court verdict on the land variance request involving the cemetery. And just to make the town board aware, the last burial in this cemetery was in 1881, and it has been abandoned ever since. We will probably need to find out exactly how many graves are actually there before any fencing is put up, whether it's put up by the town or whether it's put up by the current owner of that property. And this could be a challenging effort because ground penetrating radar is not going to pick up these graves because of the denseness of the wooded area that it sits on. It's going to pick up the roots of all those trees. It's not going to pick up way down. Also, plan B to that would be trying to locate the grave shafts. And what you do is you dig down like 6 or 8 inches, maybe even almost a foot down, and you pull back the soil. And then where you see the indentations is where those graves were. We run into the same problem here too, because there's so much tree growth there that you're not going to be able to pull that soil back to actually see a shaft of any kind. So I'm just making the board aware that it may come to pass that there will probably need to be some kind of archaeological study done in the future. I'm not sure by whom and who's going to pay for it. But before a fence goes up, something's probably going to end up having to happen. So that's just to make you aware. We would also like to, we also discussed the property to celebrate in September for our Heritage Award. We haven't decided on that yet, but we're working on it. Our committee's also started to work on a video that coincides with Brookside's Forgotten Crossroads program. We'll be highlighting Rock City Falls, and we have set aside separate meetings to work on this. One of them was last night here, and anyone interested in helping with the project is more than welcome. Just call me or whatever, or email me, whichever. Our next meeting for the Historic Structures and Places Committee is planned for June 8th, 6:30 here at the Community Center. And anyone interested in local history is more than happy to attend. And I can't wait to tell you more about this. I participated in a tour last Friday of the historic district of the Kessler site, including going inside the Horton's Fair. It was a thrill of my whole life. It really was. I can't even tell you. I'm still getting goosebumps just talking about it. Anyway, it was supposed to have taken place last April, but COVID came upon us, and so it was rescheduled. It was the town Galway historian, Phyllis Keeler, myself, the county historian, Lauren Roberts, a representative from the State Office of Historic Preservation, and a gal from Washington, D.C., who works on preserving historic sites around the country. And it was very, very interesting. This is shown top. After we went through about 3 layers of security, after we got in there and we were briefed, they gave us all a beautiful commemorative coin. And it says Naval Nuclear Power Training Unit, also Spa, New York on one side, and the other side says Naval Nuclear Laboratory, Kenneth A. Kessler Site. Gold standard since 1955, testing Navy training. This is a beautiful memento. I am so thrilled. I thought, well, gee, that's all, you know, but it turned out we had quite the tour for 2.5 hours of tour. And they haven't done a tour in more than 10 years, to tell you. And one of the gentlemen who was doing the tour was very interesting. He helped us with the 70th anniversary party that we held with them as the Heritage Award, and they have our plaque up right in front on their visitor center, their new visitor center, and they were rifling off all kinds of information about this building, that building, what it was used for, blah, 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 right? And so, I don't know how he remembered it all, but he did. And they gave us a nice book about the tour and all the facts about the tour with lots of historical pictures in it. They gave this to us both in hard copy and electronic as well. That historic district, I don't know if you can see it, it's where all the green is on this cover. And we went all around it. And in the Horton Sphere, it was, I have to tell you, it's like you took a ship and you took a slice of cake, like a piece of cake, out of the center. And you took that piece of cake and you put it inside the Horton Sphere, and you have that reactor core that was sitting on top of it. And that ship piece is still there. And what they're doing now, there was, you know, basically it's the shell to the reactor, and they're about half done dismantling it, just the shell to the reactor from, it takes a long time to use this laser cutter thing. And we had like 5 different stops all the way around the Horton Sphere. And there's a catwalk all the way around the top. And it's 225 feet all the way up to the top. It's amazing. I was just totally thrilled. Anyway, when we went to leave, we had to wash our hands with like these baby wipes to get the wet off our hands, even though we didn't touch anything. Go figure that. But anyway, we had to do, we were told, and we had hard hats on, and we also had masks and protective eyewear as well. They have 2 different airlocks in there, and each of those airlocks have a second phase to it. So like if you were in one airlock, you could go to the next airlock and still be safe in case of a nuclear accident. And that pressure, that whole ball was pressurized to 20 psi, and it had to be that to protect against an accident of some kind. And they have had no accidents, so they're very thrilled about that. You know, so it was a very exciting time, and I was just tickled pink to be able to go there. I'm sorry, I'm just wearing one. But you can tell I was excited. We also got, oh yeah, I didn't do that, I did everything here. They gave us, this book in both forms of electronic and, paper copy, and this is the United States Naval Nuclear Propulsion Program for 2020, and they have clocked over 166 million miles. That's pretty impressive. It goes through some of the early days, it goes through what aircraft carriers are still, what ones are nuclear powered, what ones aren't. You gotta have the pages of all the carriers, you gotta have the pictures of all the admirals in the back, you know, so anyway. This is like 30% that they do it. And before we left, each one of us received this, which is a beautiful aerial picture of the site to put up in hopefully a new office. Anyway, so this was the deal. It was a wonderful, wonderful day. It was hot, but it was wonderful. Anyway, so to finish my report, Brookside continues to offer virtual programs on YouTube and on their website. So I encourage people to look at those. And I'm still looking for a picture of my young store in West Milton. Still looking. So if you know anybody who might know something, let me know. So anyway, respectfully submitted, Karen Sanders.
Thank you very much, Karen.
Sorry I was a little long.
That's okay. Sounds like you had a lot to see that, so thank you very
Oh,
much.
yeah. Oh, it was wonderful. I went to show it back there.
Brenda?
All right, so registrar's report for April of 2021. We had 7 marriages, 10 certified marriage certificates, 15 certified death certificates, 1 genealogical research, 4 FOIL and search of records, 220 dog licenses, 30 hunting and fishing, 3 pavilion rentals, and 1 escrow. The town share was $8,761.66.
Thank you. Planning and zoning.
The planning board was the only one that met between our meetings. They had actually 4 issues. The first was a small 2-lot subdivision, which they set up a public hearing for. The second was a public hearing for a solar expansion on Murray Road, the solar farm there, and they kept the public hearing open. They needed some questions answered. The third one was another solar project on the old Ostro landfill, which is off 29. Again, they kept that open and set a public hearing. They had questions from some of the neighbors, and they were going to try and resolve some of those questions. And the fourth was the PDD recommendation for Stone Church Road, and that has been sent to the town board. I know we got that just yesterday or today, so they had quite a few concerns, and it's something we can work over as we go on with our PDD for that property.
Thank you, John. Does anybody have anything under old business? Okay. Under new business, I think, John, you just mentioned it a second ago, we all got the package today from the planning board about the Caesar Brothers project on Stone Church Road. I'd like everybody to take a look at that over the next couple of weeks and add your comments. I've spoken to Chairman Bartow about it. He's going to make a couple of recommendations for recreational fees, and we will be able to move on to that. I have our latest update from the county on COVID numbers. They've had 98 positive tests in the last week. Our 7-day rolling average is down to 1.3. Our total cumulative cases was just over 15,000. We lost 167 people to this pandemic. 13 people are in the hospital. We have 109 active cases. 60.5% of the county has at least one dose of the vaccine, and 52.4% have been completely vaccinated. The county has noted that zip codes for Rock City and Middle Grove are lagging in their vaccination rates. I will be working with Brenda Baird from the fire department and Dr. Cools. We're trying to set up a reverse 911 call that will go out to residents in those zip codes, and we're trying to set up a date with the fire department, John, to use the firehouse at Rock City, I believe. I think they're aiming for Saturday, the 6th of June. As soon as they can get the 911 call recorded and the details worked out, that will be going out to those zip codes. So if you live in those zip codes and you haven't been vaccinated yet, I would respectfully ask that you take advantage of the clinic that will be offered that day. Details will be forthcoming when they get it worked out. Just a couple of things that kind of fit into the town here. The Open Space Committee is going to go forward with the purchase of some land from Mr. Smassonow for an open plan. The Plan Committee has approved the purchase of your property. Just wanted to, if I'm surprising you there, sorry about that. I don't know if I was supposed to call or not, but it was voted on at our last meeting. So Saratoga Plan, and thank you for your for your conservation of your property there. Public Works also introduced and supported a couple of building projects, one in the town of Providence and another one for bridge reimbursement from bridge funds. This message came in the other yesterday from the Emergency Rental Assistance Update Program. New York State has announced that they will be opening the portal to accept applications beginning Tuesday, June 1st at 9 a.m. They have a call center number that will be open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. starting June 1st. That number is 1-844-NY1-RENT. There is a website that will be opened up too. That is odta.ny.gov/ERAP. I will have Brenda and Mr. Isaacson hopefully put these up on our websites and Facebook pages, so anyone who is in need of rental assistance will be able to get that. They also have a phone number for the shelters of Saratoga. That number is 518-602-3004. This comes from Tina Potter, the Commissioner of Social Services. One more thing, Jim says we need a motion for him to start the legislation for the zombie properties. So if someone's willing to make that motion, Jim will get started on that.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, John.
I'll second.
Thank you, Frank. Any discussion? Brenda, can you hold the board, please?
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hurd.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes?
Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Supervisor Zalewski.
Yes. Looking at the comments from a few of our attendees, I may have had the wrong date. Apparently the 6th of June is a Sunday. When we get that date firmed up, I will let everybody know, and you guys can put it out there. The special board meeting for June 1st will be both in person and Zoom. And as soon as we can get a definite number on how many people can be there, we'll get that out as fast as we can. Does anybody else have anything?
Can we, I guess Dr. Landis and Tony Dawson both made some pretty good points tonight. I know we're having this meeting, but I really don't know what our goal is at this meeting. Are we here to collect information? How do we expect anybody to speak at this meeting when they don't really know what they're speaking about? And I don't think getting it out this late really gets a broad section of our town. Only due to the fact that we're getting very limited on it. I know Dr. Landis has people, but there are other people in this town that this will affect too. And I don't know how we get out to reach those people. I guess I'm concerned that we're going to have a meeting but not accomplish
I think the purpose of the meeting, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Councilwoman Kerr, the purpose of the meeting is to hear from both sides of the situation. Obviously, the residents have concerns, and we will give them, their time to speak, like we did it a couple years ago. John, there'll be a sign-in sheet. If someone wants to speak, they can sign up. We'll take that list, and then we will, hopefully the owners of the properties with the salvage yards in them will be here to attend, and they can take in what some of the comments from the residents are, and hopefully they'll be able to give us a little bit of feedback on what they're looking for also, and we can go forward from there.
Hoping to come to some type of compromise here. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think the whole board has to listen to what's been going on, the complaints, and the business owner side also. I mean, we are taking them into consideration also.
I couldn't agree with you more, Mark. The problem I see is that you're asking, let's take Metro Metals, who really is farther away from this fight than Tony Dawson, and who has had very little of no complaints. What is he going to come and speak about? I guess if we had put out forth what your original draft was, and everybody got kind of a sense of what we were looking for as a town, then they could come and speak on their behalf, whether it's for or against.
I did send letters out to all three business owners. They should be ready.
Did you
Tomorrow.
include some of that information?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I just gave them, I included just a rough draft of what we were looking at.
The other
What
thing,
Brian and I have come up with.
just as for Dr. Landis, I know in the information he sent us, you have a coalition, I guess? Well, I was just thinking about
horrible term, but yeah.
numbers of people getting in to speak. And if you speak for the coalition, that may ease up some of the numbers as far as people coming in. So that would be helpful, I think. And they could sign, you could, certainly if you make it in writing, your comments, then we could see. That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think we want to get into a 3-hour session where when most of the speakers are saying the same comments over and over again. I agree with you, John. If something could be down in written form that we, whatever the number is, neighbors, have the following concerns, that would be helpful, I
Well,
believe.
my concern isn't so much repetitiveness, is the fact that you're only going to get so many bodies in here. So he has a group of 25 people, and they can consolidate it into one speaker. Well,
I think the neighbor, I think the people want to speak. I think Michael has been here at every meeting speaking, but I think we have to listen to the individuals too.
I'm just trying to.
I know, and I don't care if I'm here 3 or 4 hours. That's what I get paid for, so.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, we will now have our ending public comment. If anybody wishes to speak. Mr. Landis, please.
Thank you, Councilman Froelich. Thank you for your comments. I really appreciate your thoughtfulness. I'm Michael Landis again, 272 Naval.
Put that microphone up.
Can you hear me?
Again?
It's the cursed microphone. Yes?
Just you.
Anyway, so the packet I provided the board was designed to actually streamline the event to prevent exactly what you're concerned about, which is everyone kind of standing up and saying the same thing over and over again. We've worked very hard to kind of do a lot of work for you. So if you read that document, then you'll know exactly what people are going to want to say. So I thought you would appreciate it, and actually, I think if you conceptualize it a little differently, instead of people coming to vent to you, I think a lot of the people that I work with are expecting you to explain to them. I think it's a little different than you might expect a normal situation to go. That we kind of presented you with this evidence and we are expecting some kind of response in return, I don't think anyone I work with wants to speechify. In fact, I think the consensus is we want to minimize orations. So again, that's the whole idea of that packet, is to give you advance notice of what we've done and what we'd like to see you respond to. Does that make sense? All right, thank you, thank you.
Anyone else?
I did not know.
Thank you.
But I want to thank the town and the county, and specifically Saratoga Plan. It's really important to our family. This farm's going to stay now a farm forever. And we're very pleased that we didn't sell the land, actually, we just gave up development rights. Sorry, builders. But that's the way it's going to be. And so, but thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dawson.
Good evening again, Tony Dawson, 274 Greenfield Avenue. First of all, I did not receive any letters from Councilwoman Kerr, nor did anybody that is also a registered or licensed scrapyard in the town of Milton as of today. Last meeting, which was November of 2018, this invitations were sent out to property owners within 1,000 feet of our property, which is 274 Greenfield Avenue. I would recommend that it may make sense for anybody to attend and to, well, obviously you can't restrict to attend, but if they're going to have comments, I think there needs to be a reasonable boundary around, because only certain people are going to be affected. Earlier, they said that it was stated that the objectives to hear both sides. Clearly, I established at the last meeting that there has been correspondence and meetings and text messages and probably phone conversations between Dr. Landis' group and Councilman Kerr and others. We don't know, walking into this meeting, what the residents' concerns are. So how are we expected to come up with some type of a compromise? And furthermore, I have pointed out on multiple occasions that the property owners on our northern property line are in violation of both deed restrictions and local laws, whereby they've not properly maintained a fence line and their 75-foot no cut zone buffer. So I think that we have to, at least in fairness to all parties involved, and to move this along, acknowledge these issues. We can't, as scrapyard owners, and I'm just going to talk about my company right now.
1 minute, sir.
We purchased that property, and the adjoining property owners were put on formal notice along with fencing requirements and no cut zone buffers via both deed restrictions, mirror imaged by local laws. I've filed complaints that they've been ignored. So, we have to be somewhat reasonable, and the board can't listen to the 4 people that have spoken out against my company, who is in full compliance, and ignore the 4 people that are in notes that are non-compliant with deed restrictions and local laws. So I think that we have to establish some boundaries and some ground rules, and if we don't have the information, we don't have that. Again, I don't know the purpose of it, and I would suggest that you guys consider deferring for a week or 2 so that we can get something together, so that we're just not meeting to meet and accomplish absolutely nothing. It seems counterproductive. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
So just, again, my first time here, Derek Rader, obviously I spoke about the reassessment, a new topic. I guess I'm looking for a little bit of a follow-up. You and I had spoke. I don't know if I should follow up with the board, but kind of what the next step is. Is it that you guys will all meet? Did you share the information that you and I had met with them like you had said that we did?
No, I did not. You said you were going to come tonight, so I thought it would be better if it came from you.
Okay, can you please forward that information? Because when you, me, and Nick met last week, you said that you would forward it to them before this meeting. So,
Yeah, and the more I thought about it, I thought it made sense to hear it from a resident.
okay.
So,
And honest, that would be easier to let me know, because now I'm thinking that you didn't follow your word, because you told me that you were going to do it. Because as I looked, none of them kind of knew what I was talking about. I think it would have helped if you followed up with your word, or just give me a heads up. Hey, I didn't give them that information, because I think that information that when you and I met last week was kind of critical to this whole conversation that we need to do. So, you know, kind of in closing, I'm hoping, as I told you a week ago, this doesn't fall on deaf ears, and that the five of you can sit down and really have an in-depth conversation, bring an attorney in and find out about how systematically why this town has been doing it, and frankly screwing new people and other people wrong. Malta just did a town-wide reassessment because that's the only fair way to do it. I spoke to their assessor. So before I leave here, again, thank you for your time. You four, please follow up with him, because he has information that he said he was going to give you that he has not done. So I would like to follow up. I will also follow up with you as well, too.
thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, entertain a motion to adjourn?
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
Pet peeve, I received these things from the American Legion every time the flags should be lowered to half-staff. And the United States flag should be lowered to half-staff until sunset, May 30th, as a mark of respect for the shooting victims in San Jose, California. So could we take care of that tomorrow morning, please?
We will.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Can you pull the board,
Read
please,
that
Brendan?
something?
John?
John, yes.
Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hurd?
Yes.
Councilman Froelich?
Yes.
Councilman Isakson?
Yes.
Supervisor Salamat?
Yes. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Good night. May your God bless you.
Oh, we agree about that.
$72,000 market value, and they're trying to.
All right.
It's not equalization.